Miro has teased new playable areas, new enemies to fight against, and new characters to play as. And so far, the community has been completely enwrapped in that third one, trying to figure out which characters we're going to get and in what order we're going to get them. But I think it'd be really interesting to take a look at some of the endings we might get. So the first one I'm going to go over is Pav. Pav is probably the easiest one because he has one motive and that's it. He wants to kill Caliger. That's his entire motive. That is his only reasoning for why he even invokes on this adventure to Prahival. So I could see him having a very interesting ending where he refuses to kill Logic or even fight Logic. He activates all three telecoms. He goes through the moon, the center tower, the moon tower, and he finds Caliger. He kills Caliger. The door to fight Logic is there. It's open. It's ready for him to take it, and he leaves. He just turns around and leaves. And I think that'd be really fitting for his character, that he's so dead set on this one thing that he leaves something so much better, so much more behind him because he's so focused on just killing Caliger. And it'd be really interesting to see how in his ending, he'd probably be left feeling incredibly empty because his entire life up to that point has just been chasing down this one man, and he finally completed it. And, well, guess what, right? Things aren't going to get better because you killed this one guy. That's not going to be this answer to his problems. So he's going to end up not feeling very satisfied, I guess, for his ending. But I also think it would be just incredibly interesting to see how he would respond to Logic, because I doubt he would actually fight it. He would kill Caliger and be, okay, that's it, that's good enough for me, and ditch. Next up is Tanaka, which is also not too difficult since his entire reasoning to be there is for a business trip. But I also think it's going to be a whole lot easier because he already kind of has his own ending and his own story progression that he goes through if he survives. I'm not sure how this is going to be implemented gameplay-wise, but I do think it would be really interesting to explore. Before his ending specifically, I can see him, going back to Ito and taking over the family company, pretty much, or, starting his own company. He's going to be a lot more independent. He's going to be a lot stronger, probably going to be a whole lot more confident too. So he's either going to take over the family business himself, or he's going to start his own business, and, that's going to blow up. It's going to be bigger than the family business. But in one way or another, he's going to be, taking the reins of what had so long controlled him for his entire life. For our third one is Samry. And Samry is, once again, the easiest to guess, even easier than Pav, because he already has an ending, and that is when you beat the game as Marina. Guess what? Samry just follows you to Vinland. So that's exactly what we're going to see here. Samry is just going to do the same exact thing, although I do think it would be really, really interesting to see Samry kind of break off from Marina even. If you were to play as Samry and Marina dies before you're able to get an ending, then I think the ending would probably be a whole lot more different, because Samry can't follow Marina home if Marina is dead. So Samry would probably either try to do some sort of blood ritual, like Darce in the first game, where she did a ritual to make Legarde into a god. Samry would probably try to do some kind of ritual to bring Marina back to life, or Samry would just break off from Marina. The trauma and events of Prahival would build her up enough to break off from Marina, and she would start her own life. I think that would be really interesting to explore, but then again, it is Samry, and we know how her character works, and she's basically connected at the waist to Marina, so it's more likely that the first one, she either follows Marina if Marina survives, and if Marina dies, she's gonna do what Darce did in the first game when she met Legarde. Up next is Hinrich. Hinrich, I don't really have much to say. He's easily one of the most boring characters in the game. He's a chef, he's a cook. I'd say that in his ending, that's all we're really going to see come out of him. He's going to become a chef in Rondon, and he's probably going to make a whole lot of Bohemian recipes, because, that's where he was for 3 days. So he'd probably mix styles, Rondon recipes and Bohemian recipes, or implement a lot of Bohemian styles into his meals. And, that would probably he'd become super popular, super famous. His food that was already known throughout Europa would become even more famous because of his incorporation of those two styles. That's really it. That's all I can really think of for Hinrich. he's naturally very violent. He's the one of the only characters outside of maybe almost kinda August who actually participates in the Festival of Termina, and I guess also Osa, but Osa doesn't really like go after people. He just kind of chills in the corner and does his own thing. August is busy doing his entire whole side quest, so Caliger is the only one just like going around killing people. So I doubt he would change at all. Very, very little, because he's very much, he's okay with the violence. He's okay with the whole killing thing. So the main traumatizer of the entire event, having to kill your fellow man, is just lost on him. It doesn't affect him at all. I think the only real way you could get any sort of character development out of him is after the revelation he gets from Rare. I think fighting Rare might make him either way too egotistical, which I think is the most likely route. He becomes super egotistical because he's literally just squared up to an old god and won, or at least in his head he thinks he won. He would probably think he's above the gods, and he would do something stupid and get himself killed. That is the most likely option for Caliger. The other one, which is less likely but far more interesting, is that he sees how small and pitiful and meaningless human life is in the grand span of things. So he turns, pretty much, and gets his own little redemption arc. Sort of. Only sort of, though. He might be a little easier on people. He might be a little more forgiving, but he's still Caliger. He's still going to be trash. But he's going to be slightly better than he was before. He's going to be like trash with Febreze sprayed on it. That's what Caliger is going to end up as. And finally, we have August. I'm saving the best for last year with August, and I'm be honest with you, I have no idea what he's going to be doing. He has his own entire side quest that he's on about, and I think that's going to be the main focus of his when you play as him. I really don't know how gameplay is going to be focused around him, though, because all the other characters, right, they all have their own reasoning for being there, and they are all free to do whatever they want. When you get there, they're absolutely free. If you take Marina, for example, right? Marina, she is there to meet her father. But when you play as Marina, yes, that is your main goal as a character. As the character is trying to get to their father, but you can basically do whatever you want, as long as at some point you go to the church and meet your father. Then you've technically done what could be considered canon. But for August, he clearly has something a lot more specific that's going to require a very specific chain of events that you have to go through, like a lot more, like something a very traditional game would go through, with very specific missions, with places you have to go to and things you have to do. Then again, I have no idea what Miro is planning, so it could be something completely different, and it probably is. I don't have the first clue about game design, so other than that, I think his ending would give us a major lore reveal about Ragnvaldir, Moonless, about basically all the characters. I think Ragnvaldir would be, or at least his ending there would be a lot more light shed on it, because Ragnvaldir at the end of the first game, canonically, he becomes basically like the god of ultraviolence. And destroys all evil in the world. Let's go, Ragnvaldir. That's basically all you get. All you get is a little splash screen of text at the very end. So August would give a whole lot more detail on what happened in the aftermath, Ragnvaldir's time in the dungeon. I think after killing Lagarde, or if you kill Lagarde, August's ending would, it would be something very, very interesting. Very big lore reveal, definitely. I know I've said that before, but specifically killing Lagarde, it would give us insight on Lagarde, on Kaiser, on basically what Ragnvaldir's entire bloodline has been doing for the past 1,000 years. August, his journal specifically, could give some very interesting insight. I also feel like it would be a very interesting gameplay mechanic, because he's constantly keeping tabs on all the other contestants, so it would make sense if he knew their weaknesses. So it would be sort of like Dan's analyze ability, but for free, and you just know it for specifically the contestants and not like any of the regular mobs. So you could one-shot any contestant, but you wouldn't be able to kill anything else. Either that or August would be like a pacifist character where you can take down enemies, but they always get back up. Because, August wouldn't want to kill anyone who isn't the guy he's specifically going after. Other than that, that's basically all the ideas I have in my tiny brain. That's pretty much all of it. Comment, like, sub. See y'all later.